Imagine waking up with no alarm, no schedule, no emails, no boss waiting for you. You open your eyes, stretch, and ask yourself a simple question: what should I do today? For almost all of human history, that wasn't a fantasy, it was reality. Modern people spend roughly 90,000 hours of their lives working. A huge portion of our existence revolves around jobs, careers, and earning a living. But for nearly 300,000 years, humans lived without employment, wages, offices, or deadlines. So what filled their days? The answer is probably not what you think. In 1963, anthropologist Richard Lee studied the Juhan Sansi people of Botswana, one of the few groups whose lifestyle still resembles aspects of pre-agricultural life. He carefully recorded how much time they spent finding food and meeting basic needs. The result surprised researchers.
Adults spent only about 15 to 20 hours per week securing food, not per day, per week. Similar patterns appeared among the Hadza of Tanzania, the Martu of Australia, and hunter-gatherer groups in other parts of the world. Different environments, different cultures, yet the amount of time devoted to survival remained remarkably similar. For comparison, many modern workers spend twice that amount every single week at their jobs. Of course, these are modern people. How do we know ancient humans lived in a comparable way? Part of the answer comes from their bones. When archaeologists compare hunter-gatherer skeletons with those of the first farming communities, a clear pattern emerges. Early farmers were often shorter, suffered more dental problems, and showed greater signs of repetitive physical stress. Their joints frequently reveal years of hard agricultural labor.
Hunter-gatherers tell a different story. In many cases, they were taller, had healthier teeth, and showed less evidence of chronic strain. The agricultural revolution produced more food, but it didn't automatically produce better lives. Then there's another clue, a clue that shouldn't exist if people spend every waking moment struggling to survive. Art. In southern France, deep inside Chauvet Cave, researchers discovered paintings created around 30,000 years ago. Horses, lions, and rhinoceroses appear with remarkable detail and movement. These weren't rushed sketches. They required planning, skill, and many hours of work. Someone sat in that cave by firelight creating art. Not because they needed food, not because they needed shelter,
but because they wanted to. The same story appears elsewhere. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found shell beads dating back roughly 100,000 years. The shells were collected, transported, and carefully drilled to create jewelry. Think about that. Someone spent hours making ornaments simply because they valued beauty and self-expression. Then there's the famous bone flute discovered in Germany, around 40,000 years old, carved from a bird bone and crafted with carefully placed finger holes. Whoever made it wasn't focused on survival in that moment. They were making music.
Across Africa, Europe, and Asia, ancient sites contained decorative objects, carvings, ornaments, and artistic creations that required time and patience. These discoveries reveal something important. Humans had enough free time to do more than survive. They created, they experimented, they expressed themselves. So what might a normal day have looked like? The sun rises. The fire from the previous night is still glowing beneath the ashes. Someone adds wood while others slowly wake up. Breakfast might be leftover meat, fish, berries, nuts, or roots gathered earlier. People eat together and talk. Plans for the day form naturally through conversation. Later, some members of the group leave to hunt or gather food. But not everyone, and not every day.
If food is already available, many people remain near camp. They repair tools, shape spear points, weave baskets, prepare hides, or teach younger members of the group. Unlike modern work, nobody is tracking hours. There's no supervisor and no performance review. These activities matter because skill matters. Being capable earns respect. If hunting takes place, it often relies on one of humanity's greatest advantages: endurance. We're not the fastest animals, but we can keep moving for an incredibly long time. Through persistence hunting, humans could follow prey for hours until the animal overheated and exhausted itself. What we lacked in speed, we made up for in stamina. A hunt might occupy several hours. Then, everyone eats.
And after that, something happens that feels almost foreign to modern life. People relax. They sit together. They talk. They laugh. Children play nearby. Friends groom one another and strengthen social bonds. Others carve decorations, make jewelry, repair equipment, or simply rest in the shade. Anthropologist James Sussman observed that many hunter-gatherers spend enormous amounts of time socializing. In a world without governments, banks, or contracts, relationships were everything. Your survival depended on your connection to the group. Social time wasn't a luxury, it was essential. As evening arrives, the fire becomes the center of camp life. Research into hunter-gatherer conversations revealed an interesting pattern. During the day, discussions focus on practical concerns, food, weather, resources, and daily tasks. At night, everything changes. Stories take over. People share myths, legends, personal experiences, jokes, and tales about ancestors. This is where culture thrives. Many researchers believe storytelling around the fire helped teach human identity itself. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next through words long before writing existed. Even sleep looked different.
Historical records suggest that before artificial lighting, many humans slept in two separate phases. They would sleep for several hours, wake naturally for a period of quiet activity or reflection, then return to sleep again. What we now call interrupted sleep may once have been perfectly normal. Put all of this together and a picture emerges. A few hours gathering food, some time making tools, long periods spent talking, playing, teaching, creating, and resting. A life centered on people rather than productivity. Then around 10,000 years ago, everything changed. Agriculture appeared.
At first, it seemed like a breakthrough. More food meant larger populations. Larger populations meant permanent settlements. But farming came with a cost. Fields had to be planted, watered, protected, harvested, and stored. The workload increased dramatically. More people required more food. More food required more labor. The cycle fed itself. Within a few generations, there was no easy return to the old lifestyle. As populations expanded, societies became more complex. Specialists emerged: craftsmen, priests, administrators, soldiers. Eventually came careers, wages, and the idea that much of your time belonged to someone else in exchange for resources. The modern world was born. Humanity gained cities, technology, medicine, and civilization itself. But something was lost too. For most of human existence, people worked when necessary and spent the rest of their time with family, friends, stories, music, and art. Today, many of us spend decades working toward a future version of freedom. Our ancestors often experienced more of that freedom in the present. We traded leisure for growth, freedom for stability, time for productivity. And whether that trade was worth it is still one of the most interesting questions in human history. If you enjoyed learning about how humans lived before jobs, schedules, and modern work existed, subscribe for more videos exploring the most interesting topics and the hidden realities of everyday life.